industry output contracts for third month. Only fertilizers recorded growth of 7.5% amid overall dip. The output of 8 core sector industries shrank 23% in May 2020, the third straight month of contraction according to data released by the Commerce Ministry on Tuesday. Although the contraction narrowed from the 37% decline in April, economists expect the trend to continue at least through June. Of the 8 core sectors, the fertilizer industry was the only one which saw actual growth in output in May, rising 7.5% in comparison to May 2019. The rest continued to contract, with the steel sector performing the worst and recording a 48.4% fall, while cement production dropped 22%. The energy sectors also showed negative growth, with coal production falling 14% and crude oil and natural gas production dropping 7% and 16.8% respectively. Petroleum refinery production, which carries the greatest weight in the core sector index, saw a contraction of 21%, while electricity generation dropped 15.6%. Optically, it is a better picture in May as compared to April, but the situation is still way below normal or pre-COVID levels, said Devendra Kumar Pant, Chief Economist at India Ratings and Research, the Indian arm of the Fitch Group. It is the Kharif sowing season and there has been a good monsoon so far with a good reservoir position. So we are seeing some growth in the fertilizer sector, Mr. Pant said. But the decline in oil and gas and petroleum products shows that economic activity was not taking place in May, even though essential industries were allowed to function by then, he added. He expected the decline to continue for several months to come, noting that daily mobility and petroleum consumption data for June had failed to come back to normal, though lockdown was lifted. Many people are still working from home. Many industries are still functioning below normal demand due to the pandemic. We are likely to remain in the negative zone for a few more months, he said. D.K. Srivastava, Chief Policy Advisor at Ernst and Young, was a little more optimistic, although he expected contraction to continue in June. The core sector data is on expected lines. Free food grain scheme till now, November. Additional outlay of Rs 90,000 crore under PMGKAY will benefit 80 crore people, Modi. Prime Minister Narendra Modi on Tuesday announced that the free grain distribution scheme under the Pradhan Mantri Garib Kalyan Anna Yojana PMGKAY will be extended by 5 months till the end of November, with an additional estimated outlay of Rs 90,000 crore. Making the announcement in an address to the nation via television, he said the government's decision to start the PMGKAY within days of the lockdown had ensured that the poorest of the poor were not left hungry, with 80 crore people having benefited from the free distribution of grains. Timely decisions of lockdown and distribution of free grains by both government and civil society outfits ensured that our poor did not suffer hunger. Population twice that of the European Union, 12 times the population of UK and 2.5 times the population of the US was provided free grains. Under this scheme, for the next 5 months, 5 kg of free rice or wheat and 1 kg of chana will be provided free to 80 crore Indians, he said. Mr. Modi pointed out that while the country was entering unlock 2, the economic activity during the monsoon was more concentrated in the agricultural sector than in others, and that it is also segued into the festival season starting with Guru Purnima in July to Chhath in November, when people would also be spending more. Therefore, the government has decided to extend the program to the end of November, he said. Mr. Modi thanked the farmers and the honest taxpayers for making it possible to put this ambitious scheme in place. He added that with the amount already spent since April, Total outlay for the scheme would go up to rupees 1.5 lakh crore. According to government sources, the next few months may see a slow recovery in the economy as the COVID-19 cases, as also mentioned by Mr. Modi, showed an uptick but with lower mortality rates compared to other countries. Banned apps will get chance to send in their clarifications. TikTok removes app from Play Store, says it follows all rules. A day after the Union government banned 59 Chinese applications including popular ones such as TikTok, ShareIt, Me Video Call, Club Factory and Cam Scanner, citing threat to national security and sovereignty, and Information Technology Ministry officials said the banned platforms would be given a chance to submit their clarifications. This is in line with provisions of the Information Technology Procedure and Safeguards for Blocking of Access of Information by Public Rules 2009. Following the ban, TikTok withdrew its app from Google Play Store and Apple App Store. In a statement on Tuesday, it said it had been invited to meet the authorities concerned and submit clarifications. The company's India head Nikhil Gandhi said it had complied with all Indian laws related to data privacy and had not shared information of any Indian user with foreign governments, including the Chinese. The government has issued an interim order for the blocking of 59 apps, including TikTok, and we are in the process of complying with it. We have been invited to meet with concerned government stakeholders for an opportunity to respond and submit clarifications, he said. While government sources said an order to remove all the banned apps was sent to both Google and Apple, industry sources confirmed that both companies received an order relating to removal of only TikTok as of Tuesday evening. Hello, which along with TikTok is owned by China's ByteDance, said it was working with the key stakeholders for an opportunity to respond and submit clarifications. Experts have said the move to ban the apps, which together are estimated to have over 500 million monthly active users in the country, may have a significant impact on the Chinese firms. We need to wait and watch to understand the impact of banning these apps on the Indian economy, as we are not sure about the anticipated counter from China. The economic impact on Chinese firms would, however, be significant, Anand S., Vice President, Tech Vision, Frost and Sullivan told The Hindu. He noted that some of the apps banned were very popular in India. For instance, the time spent on TikTok in India in December last was more than the next 11 countries combined. The fear that the implications could be followed in other countries is a bigger threat to the Chinese economy, he said. Related to this, in editorial page, states hold the key. In Unlock 2, finely tuned strategies for disease control and expansion of activity are needed. The Home Ministry's orders relaxing the lockdown in the Unlock 2 phase until July 31 provides for a wider resumption of activity in areas other than containment zones while retaining appropriately the prohibition on mass gatherings. After the first phase of the national lockdown, the handling of the pandemic, crucially testing, tracing, quarantining, and treating sicker patients to reduce infection spread and mortality has come to depend on the capacity of individual states. India's current case total, including 3,47,326 people who recovered and 17,403 who died, is in excess of 500,000. With no prediction for when COVID-19 could peak, the latest announcement casts a heavy responsibility on the states. They are, of course, empowered to impose additional restrictions outside containment zones without impeding inter- and intra-state movement of people and goods. Some of them have learned that community-level monitoring of influenza like fever and respiratory illness and testing in a focused manner shows higher positivity rates. Good serological testing in containment zones would add insight on the overall state of infections. Such fine-tuning of strategies together with access to testing where indicated will be crucial in the unlock phases. States must also realize that more activity could bring more patients to hospitals, which are already stretched in terms of fatigued health staff and available beds. Targeted lockdowns for smaller areas and measures to encourage healthy behavior hold the key to lower the incidence of cases. Maharashtra, Tamil Nadu, and West Bengal, with a large caseload, have extended their lockdown until July 31st, a period that should be used to distribute masks to all residents and ensure that the message of face covering and distancing leads to full compliance. Getting infection spread under control early should make it possible for the center to put in place a good system to handle domestic emergency travel and facilitate more inward and outbound movement of stranded individuals. Several senior citizens have been caught abroad with inadequate access to healthcare and drugs due to the pandemic. Especially in the US, workers too are trapped in many countries within India. Regulations that do not aid working from home need to be modified. They treat electronic equipment as non-essential and unavailable from e-commerce channels because of delivery restrictions in some cities. Self-certification for bank accounts has become due in the new financial year and should be postponed or handled online. Though the center has extended the provision of free food grain to 80 crore people for 5 more months, the quantum of rations at 5 kilos of grain and 1 kilo of pulses falls short of what families need in a month. In coming weeks, these social imperatives need to be addressed while undertaking the formidable task of halting the upward trajectory of infections and death. Related to this, another article in page 11, seriously concerned by ban on apps, China. State-run media warn of all in exports and investments. China on Tuesday said it was seriously concerned by India's move to block 59 Chinese apps, which it described as a deliberate interference in practical cooperation between the two countries. China's state media warned the move would bring economic repercussions, including affecting outbound Chinese investment into India. In separate statements issued by China's Foreign Ministry in Beijing and its embassy in New Delhi, the Chinese government called on India to review the decision. I want to stress that the Chinese government consistently asks Chinese enterprises to abide by international rules and local laws and regulations when conducting external cooperation. China's Foreign Ministry spokesperson Zhao Lijian said, expressing strong concern. The Indian government has the responsibility to protect the legitimate rights and interests of international investors in India, including Chinese business, in accordance with market principles, Mr. Zhao said. Practical cooperation between China and India is mutually beneficial. Deliberate interference in such cooperation will not serve the interests of the Indian side, he added. In a separate statement, the Chinese embassy in Delhi said it was seriously concerned with and firmly opposed to such action. India's measure selectively and discriminatorily aims at certain Chinese apps on ambiguous and far-fetched grounds, runs against fair and transparent procedure requirements, abuses national security exceptions, and suspects of violating the WTO rules. It also goes against the general trend of international trade and e-commerce and is not conducive to consumer interests and the market competition in India, the statement said. The embassy said the ban will affect not only the employment of local Indian workers who support these apps, but also the interests of Indian users. Chinese media and social media widely discussed the ban on Tuesday. China restricts a number of foreign apps and websites in the mainland, and among those blocked are WhatsApp, Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. In an editorial, the Communist Party-run Global Times slammed what it said was a lackluster explanation for the nonsensical move. The newspaper quoted experts who predicted Chinese overseas direct investment (ODI) into India will drop sharply in 2020, with two experts forecasting a more than 50% reduction. Corps commanders hold talks in Chushul. Attempt continues to ease tensions. India and China held another round of Corps commanders level talks at Chushul in Ladakh on Tuesday, aimed at reducing tensions along the border as earlier efforts made no headway. The talks were underway till the time of going to press. The talks between Lieutenant General Harinder Singh, General Officer Commanding of LEH based 14 Corps, and Major General Liu Lin, Commander of the South Xinjiang military districts, began around 11 am at the border meeting point at Chushul on the Indian side. Mutual consensus. The earlier round of talks was held on the Chinese side at Moldo opposite Chushul. At the second round of talks held on June 22, the two sides had come to a mutual consensus to disengage along the line of actual control LAC, and defense sources had set the modalities for disengagement from all friction areas in eastern Ladakh were discussed and would be taken forward by both sides. However, there has been no progress on the ground since, and officials described it as a wait and watch situation even as further military build-up continued on both sides. A similar consensus between the Corps commanders on June 6 was breached following the violent clash in the Galvan Valley, which resulted in the death of 20 Indian soldiers, including a colonel. India's consistent demand has been restoration of status quo of the pre-May 5th positions and de-induction of Chinese forces along the LAC. Contrary to disengagement, satellite images and reports have since emerged showing further buildup of defensive positions of China by China in the Galvan area, Pangong Tso and Despang plains in the last few weeks. The images show that in Galvan, China has rebuilt the defensive structures at the site of the clash where an observation post was earlier destroyed. Shortfall in reporting of non-COVID-19 diseases. Behavioral changes may have prevented outbreaks, experts. The ongoing novel coronavirus pandemic has led to India's disease surveillance system recording unusually fewer instances of diseases other than COVID-19, according to information on weekly outbreaks available on the website of the Integrated Disease Surveillance Program, a health ministry body, IDSP. The IDSP issues weekly reports on disease outbreaks across the country based on its surveillance network that span at least 600 districts. In the week of March 16 to 22, the most updated report that is available, there were only 6 outbreaks or diseases alerts reported. In the same week last year, there were 17 alerts. In 2018, there were 28, and in 2017, there were 45. An alert is when a seizable number of cases from a region are reported. The reports include specific villages from where the cases emerged, the mode of diagnosis, and the steps taken by the authorities to control the outbreak. The 6 alerts in week 12 of the year included a case of Crimean Congo hemorrhagic fever from Gujarat, 3 cases of chickenpox from Bihar, and a case each of dengue and food poisoning from Karnataka and West Bengal respectively. No records after March. In a typical year, IDSP reports are available online every week. However, there are no records this year after week 12, that is after March 22. In week 11, the IDSP reported 110 cases of COVID-19. The IDSP network records the first cases of the virus infection in Kerala, and until week 10, March 2 to 8 appears to have regularly recorded disease outbreaks. For instance, in the first week of March, it recorded 36 outbreaks of as many as 15 diseases ranging from anthrax to measles, as well as 7 cases of COVID-19. Officials said that underreporting was due to the lockdown and the behavioral change that actually depressed instances of disease spread. There were fewer instances of people reporting diseases other than COVID-19 in hospitals. However, after May 3, there is again an increase in reports of other diseases, but the latest data suggests that it hasn't completely normalized as compared to previous years, said Dr. Sujit Kumar Singh, Director, National Center Disease Control, NCDC. The IDSP is a unit under this body. Dr. Singh, however, denied the possibility that fewer outbreaks were reported because COVID 19 was prioritized over all else and monitors ignored other diseases. A.C. Dhariwal, former director of IDSP, said behavioral changes such as the use of masks and restricted movement had led to a possible decline in several viral borne diseases, including H1N1, mumps, and measles. Distancing and lack of contact may have seen a decline in contagious diseases as well as, say, waterborne infectious diseases, he noted. On April 24, the IDSP said nearly 9.45 lakh people from 734 districts were under surveillance for possible COVID 19.